These are my top 5 budget saving hacks when you're on a micro budget movie. Hi, I'm Jim, I'm a filmmaker, I've made shorts and features and I've learned a lot along the way, and I thought I'd share with you 5 tips for saving some money when you're making a micro budget feature. Number 1, book travel and accommodation early. So get your shooting dates sorted, write them in stone, etch them in stone, know when you're going to shoot, and as soon as you've done that and you've worked your schedule out for the shoot, when you need your actors, book that accommodation, book the travel. You'll get much cheaper deals if you book it earlier. You may even be able to speak to certain travel operators, maybe a coach company, and see if you can get a discount. Maybe you get a student discount if it's a student film. They might give you the student discount if you offer to give them a credit at the end of the movie or a logo at the end of the movie. But book those things earlier because they're only going to get more expensive the closer you get to your main shoot. Number 2, don't pay for anything that you could get for free. Now this is easier said than done, but you really need to sanity check if you're buying things that you actually could get for free. Whether you could borrow those from family and friends, or whether they're easier to get around your own house and you don't actually need to go out and spend money on them. I've heard horror stories from productions that have gone out and bought magazines to put on a coffee table in a scene. You don't need to be spending money on stuff like that. And I'm sure if you were to look at your script carefully, unless it is an absolutely pivotal prop, so for example you have to have an old-fashioned red dial phone, unless it's that type of prop, most of your friends and family will have all the rest of the stuff you need to borrow. So planning, going through that script, if you're in charge of your own props, making a list and then going around asking everybody to borrow those items, see if you can get those items for free. It's going to save you a lot of cash. Number 3, think about parking. Now this sounds like a really boring thing to have to worry about, parking. Who wants to think about that? But if you're not careful, those costs really add up, especially if you're shooting in a city centre, for example. So it's part of the planning process, part of the producing job is to think about, if we're on location, somewhere specific, where is everyone going to park? Do we need that many vehicles? Because if you're parking in a city centre, you're looking at, you could be looking at £8, £20 to be parked all day. And if you've got 5 cars going, that money's going to add up, and it's not money that's going on screen. And that's ultimately the goal of any micro budget feature, is that any pound you spent is on the screen, it's not wasted. So think about parking early, do your research, find out the cheapest places, find out the free places you can park during the shoot. Again, if you could approach a business, you could ask if you could use a couple of parking spaces for the day in exchange for a credit, or just out of goodwill they might let you do that. But that's going to save you money, but it is something you need to consider very early on before the cameras roll. The other thing about parking, if you get it wrong, is you might end up parking in the wrong place and end up with a ticket. The same thing might happen with your cast and crew. You said, yeah, you can park there, you'll be fine. They get a ticket, then those costs can add up. It can be over and above 50 quid for that parking fine. So doing that research on where to park is critical. Number 4, use the actor's own clothes. Now, if you've cast your film correctly and you've managed to get people who are really cool and who are nice people, then they're not going to object to using some or all of their own wardrobe to appear in your film. Now, as long as it matches the character and you're not making massive sacrifices and just telling them to wear anything, everybody's got a bunch of clothes that fit them in their cupboards, and you can talk to your actor and you can almost help them build that character's identity using pieces from their own wardrobe and pieces that you buy. And you can buy clothes cheaply at charity shops, and sometimes it might be that the most expensive thing that you need, like a trench coat, they've got that hanging up in their cupboard. So have that conversation with your actors early. You could have that just after you've cast them, say, oh, it would really help us if we could chat about costume, see what you've got that you can bring along with you. You shouldn't be buying things like shoes. Everyone's got shoes. When do you ever see shoes on the camera? You might see them on a particular person, again, if it's a particular type of shoe somebody wears, or the shoe that makes a certain noise. So help them create that character with a combination of stuff they've already got, stuff you buy, stuff you might be able to bring yourself. And finally, 5 is being really honest and having honest conversations with all of your cast and crew about budget and how tight the budget is. Because if you're not careful, for example, somebody might say, oh, we ran out of batteries, so I had to go and buy some. Now, that might not sound like a lot, but if everybody's off doing that, not appreciating how thin those budget lines are, how much you're stretching your budget, those little costs can really add up. You know, expenses, catching a train at the wrong time, if you travel early, petrol if somebody's coming from miles away and you hadn't had that conversation and worked out where they're travelling from and the cheapest way for them to get to you. So as long as everybody's on the same page, and also your production designer, if somebody's getting props, you've got to emphasise, please don't buy anything, or if you do need to buy anything, please chat to me first. It's particularly if it's an expensive item, or this is the budget, this is all I can give you to spend, but if you need anything else, you need to find any other props, come back to me, I'll try and find some more money, or I'll try and help you find those props. So do have those conversations with people. The last thing you want is on the last day of the shoot, someone to come up to you with a receipt or a bill and go, hey, I had to pay for this thing, I didn't realise, can you reimburse me? And that's put you massively over. So have those conversations early. I hope those tips are useful. I've got a ton more, so I'll do another one of these because I think saving your budget and getting that money on screen is super important. Do put your budget saving tips in the comments below to share with everybody, but also to share with me. So I'll take any tip from you to save a bit of cash and get that money all up on the screen. See you on the next one.